E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Finding Health Naturally. Wednesdays, Mentoring Our Youth. Thursdays, Pets We Love. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and Donna Guimwa. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guimwa Balconi Leda.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Messages of Inspirational Stories. Today is Friday, and it is about women in leadership. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing real good today. It's Friday. We've had a great week. Oh, my goodness. And next Monday, we got Rennie Gabriel on again. He's going to be sharing some great information out there for real estate folks and people interested in that. I did not know, and I'm just going to share this little tidbit with you. You have to, watch the show on Monday. He shared some information with me. If you're like looking for an apartment building, you want to buy 1 to 4 units, you got to have good credit. But if you buy 5 units or more, now don't ask me how this works. This is what he was telling me. 5 units or more, the building is its own credentials. Doesn't matter. You don't have to have that. Yeah, that kind of like, whoa, we got to hear about that on Monday.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, just think we can go out, we could buy a 25 unit place. What kind of credit you got? Well, that's the compartment building.
Mine's 250, but the apartment's pretty good.
Yeah, right. But I don't know how that works, but Rennie's going to be sharing a lot of stuff with you. And Rennie is working with us because he wants to use us as guinea pigs to be able to, get into real estate with no money down. I don't know how that's going to work because Donna tested me just right before the show, and I still cannot spell real estate. So what does that tell you? But we're so glad that you're here. We're going to be talking about women in leadership today. We're going to be talking about some women who are also, get to it if we can, that are inventors. And my goodness, they just don't get the proper recognition, do they, Donna?
No, they don't, and we're actually picking up from some of the women that we couldn't get to last Friday.
Right,
and
right.
I think that some of the ones in the later 19th century, we've all pretty much heard of. But the ones prior that we talked about in the beginning of last week's show, I consider myself pretty well versed, and I know you are as well, Jim. And damn, we didn't know any of them.
I mean, because history has not been fair to them.
No.
And let me get out here and get on my soapbox here a little bit. Just go ahead and drink your coffee there and take a break or whatever you're sipping on there.
Blackberry sage tea.
That's it. That's it. You should took the wine out of it. I mean, I guess it's in there. I'm not, but anyway, no. But like in the old days, when I say the old days, I'm talking about during let's say the time of Christ, for example. People can understand that time period when census were taken and they counted 800 people. They only counted the men.
Yep.
They did not count the women. They did not count the children. And that Neanderthal way of thinking has been dominoed on, And I don't know how in the world some of these women did not get mentioned somewhere in the history books.
Right.
I mean, the show last week, goodness, and what we're going to be covering today. Well, you be the judge, folks. When we talk about these
Absolutely.
ladies here, we're going to share information. We got a whole bunch of information on each one, so we're going to be sharing it with you because we
Right.
want to make sure we hit all the important stuff. But just make a mental note in your mind, in the back of your mind, how many of these ladies had you heard of?
Right.
And let's just go right back, if we can, um, up through the list, just hit a highlight of these ladies here. Let me just go through the list here very quickly. I'm going to mention their names very quickly. Uh, Eliza Lucas Pickney.
Yep.
Ever hear of her?
Blue
She was
indigo
an
dye.
she was an agriculturist, and she is the one who introduced blue indigo dye.
Mhm.
And
Also went on to produce flax, hemp, silk, and figs.
that's right, because what would we call blue jeans today if she hadn't introduced the blue indigo dye?
Exactly.
You know? And
And
how
then there
about,
was, oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I just going to say how about Mary, the lady's name, Mary Catherine Goddard. What
Yes.
did she do, Donna?
She, what she was an absolutely incredible woman who
Hmm.
became the first woman publisher in America in 1766.
Hmm.
And she became the first American woman postmaster in Baltimore, Maryland in 1775. How
Uh-huh.
about that, folks? Right? And
And the
she's
grand
also
finale? And the
well,
grand
she's
finale,
also
Donna?
most famous for printing the very first copy of the Declaration of Independence.
Don't you think her name should belong somewhere in the history books?
Yeah, up there, right out there in front on Main Street.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why we like to cover things like this on women in leadership, because we've had guests on and we will have guests on, and other people come on and talk about, what they're doing and all that. But we wanted to give kind of like a flashback. We hear about Flashback Thursday. Well, this is Flashback Friday for reality of
Right.
women who never got their proper recognition. And it's,
Absolutely.
and then this one here, this lady here is Lydia Pinkham. That's Pinkham, Lydia,
Mm.
Lydia. And she was known by, people would call her Ann Landers or Dr. Ruth of the 1880s. I mean,
Right.
she set the anyway. She paved the road for them. That's what she did.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
She was an advocate for women's health in an
Hmm.
age where women's needs weren't being met at all
Hmm.
by the medical community.
Oh
So
yeah.
Cooper Laboratories bought her company in 1968 through
Mhm.
pills, and a liquid stamped with Pinkham's name are still available in some drugstores today.
Yeah. She built a very strong reputation, her
She did.
name and her honor. And here's another lady she's known for carving the path for women entrepreneurs. She was known as Madam C.J.
Mm,
Walker.
quite the lady.
And yeah,
Quite the lady. She
yeah.
became, her parents were former slaves. She was
Hmm.
orphaned at age 7. And
Hmm.
in 1905, she created Madam Walker's Wonderful Hair Grower, a scalp conditioning and healing formula. She had a personal connection to the product since she suffered from a scalp ailment that caused her to
Mm.
lose most of her hair.
Bless her
She
heart.
eventually expanded her business to Central America and the Caribbean. By
Hmm.
1917, she uh, Walker held one of the first national meetings of business women in
Hmm.
Philadelphia, the Madam C.J. Walker Hair Culturist Union of America Convention.
Wow.
Yep.
And a lot of days now we're hearing young people, especially, they're being brainwashed, they're being dumbed down because of this reason or that reason. And you can't do anything, you can't be anything. Here, this lady, her parents were former slaves, so she did not come from money. But she had a passion in her heart because she suffered from a physical ailment,
Hmm.
and she was looking for an answer for herself,
Right.
for relief and comfort. And when she found it, she knew that there would be others out there in her in the same boat that she's in. And there's a huge lesson in that for entrepreneurs because Donna, we always hear people say, well, what do you want to do in life? Well, I want to make money. Well, money's
Money's a
like oxygen, you
byproduct.
need it.
It's a
Yeah,
byproduct,
yeah,
folks.
yeah, it is. But your focus, I don't care if you're a coach, I don't care if you write books, I don't care what it is that you do. I don't care if you sell lotions, potions, or pills. Your your primary focus should be, can you help the one person who is reaching out to you
Hmm.
to help them solve their pain or their problem?
Well, Jim, I think I'm going to say this, at least from my point of view as a
Mhm.
female. I think that females, because we are a little more emotionally involved in our life, emotionally intact and in sync, that we tend to think along those lines more than men do.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So, right, because we don't. Now, I will say, I don't think for the most of us we can compartmentalize things as well as men. Y'all have a focus that you do one thing. If you're watching baseball, by God, that's all you're doing is watching baseball, right?
Yes,
Me,
ma'am.
I'm watching a TV show going, huh, I got to pay that bill tomorrow. Oh, wow,
Ah.
that's really great on the show. Wait a minute, did I get the laundry done? That's how my brain works. It doesn't stop. But I
Yeah.
will say that, in my own life, Jim, and we've talked about it before in the show, but in my own life, in my own personal
Mhm.
struggles and trauma, that's what became my coaching business of high
Mhm.
energy performance coaching, in
Yeah.
helping other people because of what I went through and
Mhm.
realizing that. And it took a while, and it
Oh yeah.
actually took somebody to tell me, geez, Donna, you got to do something
Mhm.
with this,
Mhm.
because there's probably other people out there. And I went, oh my
Yeah.
God. And I never thought about it that way, but when that person said that to me, I went, ah, light, hello.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the way it works. And, you're exactly right because we go into, a store, we're going to go right to where we want to.
Yep.
And we get what we want and we're out of there. And also, too, in the mind of men, or in the minds of men, there's been more gold mined up here than ever came out of a hole in the ground. And I got to share a little funny story, personal story, if I may. Evie and I, we'd been married, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or something like that. We went to a house party, and these folks we knew, his wife was she was from Japan, and very nice, cultured young lady, and the house was just immaculate. And we were there, and of course, the guys, we were over by the kitchen, close to the refrigerator where the refreshments were, and you might say, and the ladies were all in the living room there, but it wasn't a huge house or anything. And I didn't pay any attention to what they were talking about. We were just guys. We were talking, and one guy says, "Yeah," says, your little wife really keeps a house speak and span just perfect." He said, "Yeah, that's the way she is." Another guy said, "Yeah, my wife's the same way." And I said, "Well, Evelyn's the same way." And it's true. Evie is very particular about our house. She's always
Right.
picking up, cleaning up. And I says, it doesn't matter if it's, of course, if my warped sense of humor, and I might have had a little bit to prime the pump to get the old brain going. It's a nice way of saying it for the kiddos out there. But I said, yeah, I said, it doesn't matter if it's morning, noon, or night. I mean, Elvin will, she sees something that's messed up, she'll get up and clean, you straighten it right out or something like that. And one guy said, really? I said, yeah. I said, isn't that about 2:00? I had to get up and go take a whiz in the restroom. I come back, my side of the bed's made up.
I bet that went over like a lead balloon.
Yeah, well, but that's when I realized all the ladies laugh with us except one. And I thought it was just the guys going to be hearing it, And I heard about it on the way home. Let me just
I
say
bet
that.
you did. I bet
Meanwhile,
you did.
back at the ranch,
And you never said that again, did you?
No. I tell you, because doing hard time in the hacienda is not fun.
Right.
But I
Right.
mean, it's. I thought, I didn't mean, obviously, didn't mean anything by it. Everybody knew it was a joke. But anyway, like I said, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Elizabeth Arden.
Yes.
And boy, I tell you right now, she really, you might say she was making over America. Would that be accurate, Donna?
That would be a great accurate description of what she decided to do. She was actually born in Ontario, moved to New York at age 30 to
Mhm.
pursue her dream of building a cosmetic corporation.
Mm.
And she began working with a chemist to create a beauty cream. And then traveling to Paris in 1912,
Mhm.
she became the first person to introduce the concept of eye makeup to American women and
Mm.
offered the very first makeovers in her
Mm.
Fifth Avenue salon. She died in 1966, but as we all know, her brand name became as well known as Singer Sewing Machines and Coca-Cola.
Mm. Really is. And how many people have heard the name of Elizabeth Arden? I
Right?
mean, you see how these ladies, they is, no matter what it was, they had a passion and they went forward and they didn't let anybody stop them. Now, this lady here is very well known, Coco Chanel. We covered her last week.
Hmm.
And my goodness, her legend has certainly lived on because she died back in 1971, didn't she,
Yes,
Donna?
she did. She did.
Yeah.
She brought her fashion empire, of course, born in France. She opened her first
Mhm.
shop in 1910 by
Wow.
selling only women's hats. By
Mm.
1921, the company introduced Chanel number 5, the
Mhm.
first perfume to be sold worldwide.
Mm.
From there, the name Chanel became known across the world. And she, even though, she's long since gone,
Mhm.
her creations continue to
Mm.
attract, everybody, whether, it's just us sitting here,
Mhm.
in our house or the well-known celebrity people,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
And
I
she's
will say this is cute. Christian Dior, of course, who's infamous in its own right, said of her, with a black pullover and 10 rows of pearls, she revolutionized fashion. Touche.
she sure did, yeah. And here is a lady here. This one here really did make an impression on me, ladies and gentlemen, because her name is Olive Ann Beach,
Yes.
Beech. And she's the co founder of Beech Aircraft Corporation. And her and her husband founded it. But what really made an impression on me was the timing of when they
Right?
decided they're going to create an airplane company.
Absolutely. And so this was in little old Wichita, Kansas, right?
Hmm.
And this was during the height of the Depression, folks, in 1932.
Yeah, think
So
about
they
that.
had their business grew from 10 employees to 10,000.
Mm,
270 of their Beech Model 17 Stagger wings were
mm,
manufactured for the U.S. Army during World War II. But her husband had died from a heart attack suddenly in
mm,
1950. She
mhm,
took that company as president and CEO during her nearly 20 years in charge and transformed that company into a multi-million-dollar aerospace corporation.
Yeah.
She retired in 1968, but continued to serve on the board of directors until 1982. And
Mm.
2 years after Raytheon Corp purchased Beech Aircraft, Beech became the company's first chairman emeritus before dying at home in Wichita in 1993.
Mm. You know, when you talk about multi-million-dollar company, you
Right.
take like 1968, $1 million worth today.
Oh, Lord.
Let's see. I'm just doing a quick search here, right quick. It's worth about $8.5 million.
Right.
So you can do the math. I mean, this is, it's just amazing. And but the timing,
Right.
the depression when no one had any job, no one had any money. Hey, let's build airplanes. I mean,
That was a big, big gamble.
yeah. I mean, I'll guarantee you, you could. They had people looking at them like they were ready for the nut farm.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, because goodness, who would
Hmm.
think of that? And how about Ma? Everybody's heard. More people actually have heard of Ma Barker
Hmm.
for her and her famous sons, but
Right.
Ma Perkins.
Right.
Ma Perkins, she's known as would you say she's known as the mother of the airways?
She is. She is. 1933.
Mm,
Uh, so she is an actress, Virginia Payne, brought the character Ma Perkins, also known as the Mother of the Air, to life in more than 7,000 episodes of her
mm,
radio soap opera.
mm.
She was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she made her radio debut at the age of 23
Yeah.
when the show premiered on on a Cincinnati radio station. Ma Perkins was a self sufficient widow who owned and managed a lumber yard and
Mm,
offered her homespun advice to all those who sought the help. The
mm.
show ran on NBC and
Yeah.
CBS until 1960.
Wow. Mm.
Yep.
That's amazing. And of course, the next lady we covered, I'm not going to spend much time with her because everybody knows her, Estee Lauder, and
Right?
she built a beautiful. She built a global enterprise off of beauty. She really
Yes.
did with skincare. But this is the one that I want to, remind everyone of and hit on is a lady by the name of Brownie, Brownie, wise, like the wise owl. And she had a knack for sales. She had charm. She had ambition.
She had
And
brains.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
She had brains.
And she
So,
was,
in
go ahead.
I'm sorry. And after selling Stanley home products in early
Hmm.
1950s, she realized that Tupperware would be
Hmm.
sold more efficiently at home parties than at a
Hmm.
department store. So
Hmm.
Wise's party plan marketing system began outselling stores.
Yeah.
And that's when Tupperware's inventor, Earl Tupper, took notice and hired her as vice president of the company.
Hmm.
In 1958, Tupper fired Wise after the press suggested that she was key to Tupperware's success. She died in 1992, but her marketing tactic still lives on today. So, one of the things that we had wanted to touch base on about this, and I can honestly say, as just as a intelligent woman, that Earl Tupper was a bloomin' idiot for firing
Yeah.
her instead of,
Yeah.
I mean, he let his dang pride get in the way, Jim.
Oh, he let his pride, his ignorance, and
Oh,
everything else
yeah.
get in the way. Yeah.
And he showed it big time instead of
Yeah.
looking at that reporter and saying, well, yeah, I only surround myself with smart people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And
I mean,
that's why
you,
she's the vice president. You
yeah.
know, a simple doing that and
A
stating that,
praise.
what praise and
Hmm.
keeping her on board. Do you know what that would have done to the sales? Because
Man.
every woman at that time, we were just emerging, believe it or
Hmm.
not, as women, we were just emerging as becoming self-sufficient and truly up there in our own status, right? In our own
Oh,
in
yeah.
our own being. So if
Yeah.
he had done that, I can damn sure guarantee that the sales would have skyrocketed because every
Oh,
woman in the history would have went, well, if he's smart enough to keep Brownie Wise on board, and
Hmm.
she was the one who thought of it, then that's a product I need to have in my own home.
Because Brownie Wise would have been able to connect
Yep,
with the housewife and the mothers and the women around the world. You
sure.
take, for example, the great racehorse Seabiscuit.
Hmm.
Seabiscuit was the everyday person's racehorse. He wasn't the rich people's racehorse. He didn't look that good, but I mean, he gave, especially during that dark days of the depression, he gave people hope.
Right,
He was the little guy. And Seabiscuit was a horse that many people could, kind of like relate to
right,
and maybe own one hair of Seabiscuit's coat, you know. And that's what was that's what I see here with Brownie Wise. She
sure.
would have been that one woman that says, "Wow, you know, I want to be part of her. I want to
Mhm.
have,
I want to
kind of,
have a piece of that.
yes, I'm going to
Hmm.
buy Tupperware
I
because in
remember
my,
my mom having Tupperware parties. I
oh yeah,
remember as a little girl because, babysitters were few and far between in that day and age. And, where mom went, the kids back then, the kids got drugged to it too,
oh yeah,
right? I remember going to Tupperware
oh
parties
yeah.
and
I
mom
remember
hosted
the
them there.
I remember the old famous words I used to hear a lot. You're going to go, you're going to behave yourself, and you're going to like it, and you're going whether you like it or
Or
not,
else, or else,
or you won't be able to sit down for a week. Oh, okay, I can understand that.
right? I'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you bet. And it's just amazing how that lady just really she had wisdom, she had vision, and she has set a standard for house parties. And of
Right,
course, we talked last week a little bit about Lillian Vernon, and oh my goodness,
right.
we always liked that Lillian Vernon magazine, didn't we? Mail Order Madness.
Oh, yeah, and, she was from Germany, and
Hmm.
she was born in 1929. She came to the US in 1937 when the Nazi threat intensified. In
Yeah, yeah.
1951, she decided to start a mail order business named
Hmm.
for her Mount Vernon, New York home.
Hmm.
After a second divorce in the 90s, she
Hmm.
took Vernon as her surname. Vernon used $2,000 of her wedding gift funds to buy a
Hmm.
variety of matching purses and belts,
Hmm.
placed them in an ad in 17 magazines. So back then, let me tell you, back then, the 17 magazine was all the rage.
Oh yeah.
But she
I mean,
soon had $32,000 in orders came flooding through. And
mm,
so she had published her first catalog in 1956, offering
mhm,
personalized combs, blazer buttons, collar pins. By 1970, uh, the corporation had $1 million in sales. The company expanded
mm,
its items to encompass everything from holiday decor to children's products and
mm,
everything in
mm.
between. After
Wow.
51 years as CEO, the personalized gifts pioneer stepped down. The
Mhm,
company, which filed for bankruptcy protection in February of, I believe, of 2002, is being
mhm.
acquired by current USA Inc. for 15.8 billion. Now, this article is a few years old, folks, but
Yeah.
still, that's just a couple
That's
of
that.
cufflinks.
Yeah, that's a boatload of money. Yeah, I tell you, it's just really amazing. And of course, the lady we closed with last week was the lady who invented the Barbie dolls. How many
Yes.
people have heard of the name Ruth Handler? Handler. I
And
have.
it's funny because most of us who know, we all know who the Barbie doll is, but we
Oh
don't know
yeah,
who's behind it, right?
yeah.
And so she came up with it, creating a doll, the idea of creating a doll that looked
Mhm,
more like an adult after noticing that her daughter preferred to play with paper dolls that looked like adults. And although her husband didn't think the idea would sell, she debuted Barbie with her daughter's nickname at a New York toy fair in 1959.
mhm,
Handler and her husband Elliot were already selling dollhouse furniture, and other toys through their company, Mattel,
Mm,
based out of their Hawthorne, California garage.
mm,
Within 5 years, Mattel became a Fortune 500 company. And in 1967, Handler became the president of Mattel Inc., a position she stayed in until 1974. Her legacy lives on today, and Barbie brings in more than $1 billion a year for Mattel.
mm.
Now, some of
Nice.
those early Barbie dolls in
Yeah.
mint condition
Mm,
in their little cases,
hmm
they sell for a fortune.
Yeah. My sister has a huge collection of Barbie dolls that's never been outside the box, still inside the
Yeah,
package.
yeah,
Those are
that's
the
where they're worth
ones.
the money.
Yeah, yeah, they're really worth a lot of money, and she wants to do something with charity with them, and which is a wonderful thing. But my goodness gracious, I love the fact that her husband didn't think it sells. So what does the
Right,
guy know about baby dolls or Barbie dolls or whatever? We're guys. Give us toy, give us tanks and trucks.
right. Give us a power tool.
BB guns. Well, I remember getting a BB gun for Christmas when I was a kid. Boy, that was a cat's meow. This next lady, we've all heard a lot about her, and she's had some trials in her life, and she is still. She was named one of the 50 most powerful women twice by Fortune magazine, and has made Forbes magazine 400, the Forbes 400 list. And she was born in 1941 in Jersey City, New Jersey. But she is known for her passion for cooking and stylish living in a multimedia empire. And Donna, who am I talking about?
None other than Martha Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
None
Oh
other.
yeah.
Hmm. And she's done everything, Jim: books,
Mm.
television, website,
Yep.
newspaper, radio shows, product
Mm.
lines.
Yeah.
She's done it all. She became a force to be reckoned with in every form of media. She had a 5 year legal battle after being convicted of insider trading, and
Mm-hmm.
has proven to be the ultimate comeback success story.
Mm-hmm.
Recent
Yeah.
initiatives include Martha Stewart Crafts Line and her
Mm-hmm.
collection of home merchandise at Macy's department stores.
Mm.
This year, she introduced a co-branded food line at Costco, and
Mm-hmm.
a co-branded floral plant and gift basket line.
Yeah.
Martha Stewart for 1-800-Flowers. How about that, Jim?
Oh, it's amazing. One thing I like about Martha's story is that now picture this: she's on top of the world. She's on TV. She's in magazines. She's everybody. I think just about not what you say 80-90% of the people, except those people don't have a TV or something. I
Hmm.
imagine everybody, most of the people around the world have probably heard her name,
Oh, yeah.
or you know. And so here she goes through, and she has a legal problem with insider trading. And I never knock anybody for what they're doing, because let's be honest. If you had inside information on what the winning lottery winning numbers of a lottery ticket would be, would you write it down? You know good and well you would, so don't act like some hypocrite and pretend, oh, I would never do that. But my point being, that was embarrassing for her.
Sure.
There was
Well,
a
she
lot of,
had time for it.
yeah, she did
I mean,
time for it,
she
but there's a
didn't.
lot of,
It wasn't like it was hardcore,
right.
maximum security. It
Yeah.
was
Which,
it was considered what they consider a soft yard, if you will,
yeah. Mhm.
right? A soft yard, which means it wasn't. Um,
Yeah.
it was
It
more
didn't,
beds
it,
in a
yeah.
row, not little individual prison cells.
Yeah, exactly. And but you think about all of the harassment she went through, and all of the people who were jealous of
She
her.
and she took it in stride when she got out, and
She,
she
yes,
said, "To
she
hell with
did.
that! I'm going to still make something of my life."
It's kind of like when she got up that morning to be released from prison. She says, "I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to wash all this prison off of me, and I'm coming back." And she
Back,
did.
yes,
There
she
is
did.
an inspirational story there.
Yep.
We all have fallen from time to time, made mistakes or whatever. And people who are jealous of you, they want to relish in the fact that maybe you got trouble. Maybe you ran into financial hardships. I've ran into financial hardships.
Who hasn't?
So what?
Who
So
hasn't?
what? Yeah.
The
And
moral of the story, though, Jim, is
mhm.
what are you learning from this? What is your
Yeah.
takeaway? Okay,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I guarantee you that we learn more from adversity and trials and trouble than we do from our success.
Oh, isn't that the truth, Donna? I tell people that when I'm talking to a salesman on the phone or something, somebody catch me and trying to sell me something, I say, "Well, that sounds good, but right now you caught me at a bad time." I said, "I'm financially embarrassed," and and sometimes they don't even know what I'm talking about.
Right?
And I told this one guy, I said, "Yeah," I said, "I'm financially embarrassed." He said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, every time I pull my wallet out of my hip pocket, it starts crying."
Right?
Yeah, because I've been there, folks.
Mhm.
I have been there. I have been broke in my
Too much month
life.
at the end of the money, Jim.
Oh, I had too much month by the second of the month.
Right, right. Been there.
Really, I'm being honest. I've been there,
Yep.
and the thing of it is,
Lord knows I have too.
oh yeah, that did not define us. That
No.
was where we are at that point in time, but that was not the final place of
Destination.
our journey.
It
Final,
wasn't the
thank you.
final destination.
Yeah, of our journey. And I want you to embrace that. Right now, I know there's people out there watching around the world. You may not have a nickel in your pocket, but remember one thing: what you do have is so valuable that money cannot buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm being straight up with you folks, because if you got your health, rejoice. If
Mhm.
you have the ability to love yourself, rejoice. If you have the ability to love others, rejoice. If you have the talent and the opportunity to be a blessing to others, I don't care what it is. You may not have the money to buy them anything, but you could be a blessing to them if you're
Sure.
just being a friend. You're going to there's a higher source, and it comes with love and vibration and pure energy. And when you're stepping out of that and not looking at your personal situation, you're looking how you can help others.
Yes.
Abracadabra, it's going to come to you, and it's going to
Tenfold.
lead you in the path that you need to go. So embrace it, because just
Absolutely.
say, I'm thankful I'm here, because this is not where I'm going to remain. This is just a this is just a pit stop
Right.
along the pathway of life. Embrace that, please, because that's what Martha Stewart did. She says,
Hmm.
she wasn't poor or anything like that, but when she came out of prison with all these negative comments and all that, and people could, well, what's she going to do? Well, she just take a shower and wash this prison off. I'm coming back, and she did,
She did.
like
Well,
she
how,
didn't even miss a stroke.
no,
Oh,
no. She
mm,
did incredibly well. So
yes.
this other woman in 1976, Dame Anita Roderick, a business with a conscience.
Hmm.
She is the founder of The Body Shop, became interested in environmental activism at an early age through her world travels.
Hmm.
What began as a way of living has emerged into a business with more than 2,100 stores and more than 77 million customers. In
Holy smokes.
1976, yeah, in 1976, Roderick opened the doors to her first shop in Brighton, England. What sets the body shop apart from other stores offering similar bath and hygiene products has been her commitment to running a company dedicated to the pursuit of social and environmental change.
Hmm.
The Body Shop has established community trade relationships in more than 20 companies. In this article, it goes on to say last month it announced a campaign with MTV to raise HIV and AIDS awareness among
Wow.
those under age 25.
Hmm.
The Body Shop was purchased by the L'Oreal Group in 2006, but remains independently run. Roderick and her husband stepped down as co chairman of the company in 2002, but she
Hmm.
continued to consult until her death last year from a brain hemorrhage at age 64.
Mm. Her relationships, as you mentioned there, Donna, expanded into 20 countries.
Great.
And Donna, I was reading along there with you. She was sharing the information, and you folks out there in TV land might have seen me wince some because when I saw brain hemorrhage at age 64, it reminded me very much of what you went through, Donna. I didn't know you then, but
Right.
just share with the folks, if you would, what you went through there. And
I had a little issue going on, and I had it going on for quite some time. I kept calling it I was having a spell, and it would make me feel real funny. And then one day, that spell just really turned me upside down, and I went to urgent care because I honestly thought I was having a stroke.
Mhm.
So apparently, unbeknownst to me, when you walk into urgent care and you sit down at the information and they say, "Can I help you?" And you look at them and you say, "Yeah, I think I'm having a stroke." You get rushed back real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they took me, ran my, quick, made sure everything was okay, and took me by ambulance and took me to the ER. And they did a CAT scan and found, through a lot of luck, folks, found that I had an aneurysm. So then they set me up to see with a neurologist or neurosurgeon on my
Hmm.
aneurysm. But at the same time, the neurologist that I saw at urgent or at emergency was running huge amounts of tests on me. So I had all this going on simultaneously. The neurosurgeon was scheduling me for a first brain surgery. I had 3 brain surgeries in 14 months. So the same day as I was going in to schedule my brain surgery was the day that my neurologist told me that I had MS. So I went in, I had the brain surgery in November of 2014.
Mm.
Um, 2015, I had my main brain surgery in July. And
Mhm.
what they had found was I had a 4 by 6 aneurysm on the internal carotid artery behind my right eye. So,
Mm.
in the world of aneurysms, you can have an aneurysm, but if it's real, real small and in a place where it's not going to do any harm, they're just going to watch it. This one was so big that it scared him to death. And he said, "Donna, we have to do this surgery." So they
Mm.
went in, they did the surgery on the 27th of July. On January 13th of 2016, I went in for my third brain surgery, and that was to see what the main brain surgery was doing with the aneurysm.
Mhm.
And I had an incredible neurosurgeon, folks, in
Mhm.
Ohio at the OSU, and that aneurysm was completely gone.
Mm. Yeah.
And it can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. But he had
Mhm.
told me after the surgery that when he inserted, I call it a slinky because that's what it looks like. It's a little,
Yeah.
it looks like if you have a ballpoint pen and you take it apart and that little wire that holds
Yeah.
the spring up and down, right? That's kind
Mhm.
of what it looks like. So I call it a
Yeah.
slinky.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so that's what they inserted into my head. And he said the moment, Jim, that he inserted it, he could see where the aneurysm was going like this with the blood flow, right? Boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom. And the minute he inserted it, he said he could see the blood flow start to slow down.
Wow. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So, when I read that, as Donna was sharing that about the lady dying from the brain hemorrhage at the age of 64, that really struck a note with me because I know what from hearing Donna's story and knowing her, I know what she went through. And I think we got time to cover. We got time to cover some more here. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go
we
ahead.
do.
Yeah, Donna, how
Oh, this
about?
is your
Ah,
favorite. This is your
ah,
favorite.
yep, 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 yep.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
one of my favorites. Anyway. The sweet smell, the smell of sweet success. I get so excited. I read cross-eyed. Miss Debbie Fields. She's proof that anyone can take their dream and turn it into a reality, ladies and gentlemen. Debbie Fields was a young mother. She had no business experience whatsoever. She opened her first cookie store in Palo Alto, California in 1977 at the ripe old age of 20. And Fields was able to persuade a bank to finance Mrs. Fields' chocolate chippery. Despite critics, she garnered worldwide acceptance as the premier chain of cookies and baked goods. The company was acquired in 1996 by a Greenwich, Connecticut-based investment firm, Capricorn Holdings. And she went on to author several cookbooks, host a weekly program called Great American Desserts on PBS, and she sits on various boards, including the board of Outback Steakhouse in Tampa, Florida.
Wow.
And now known as Debbie Fields Rose, she lives in Memphis with her second husband, Michael Rose. Oh my goodness gracious. I love the fact she's 20 years of age. She hasn't got any business experience. And
Right.
oh my goodness. This is a great story. This is a great story.
Good for her.
Yeah, we're going to try to reach out to her and see if we can get her to be a guest on the show. If anybody out there in TV land knows her, let her know. We'd love the interview. We'd love to hear that story.
That would be the gems,
And
Jim.
as a bonus, we'll make sure everybody out there in TV land has cookies. Oh my goodness.
Oh goodness. So this next woman we all have heard of is 1984. She really became the multimedia maven, Oprah Winfrey. She's the queen of multi-million, reaching an estimated 49 million viewers a week through TV alone. She was born in Mississippi and lived in poverty while growing up. Despite an extremely dysfunctional upbringing, she eventually received a full scholarship at Tennessee State, where she studied communications and worked at a local radio station. She got her big break in Chicago in 1983 when she began hosting a morning talk show. Within months, the Oprah Winfrey Show, replaced Donahue. Boy, and Donahue was huge, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was.
As the highest ranked talk show in Chicago. And from there, her career skyrocketed. Today, she not only serves as supervising producer and host of the Oprah Winfrey Show that was taped in Chicago, but she also had founded her own magazine, women's lifestyle website, Oprah.com, and Oprah's Angel Network, and has raised more than $70 million and given 100% of donations to nonprofit organizations worldwide. Her production company, Harpo Productions, created another daytime hit, Dr. Phil, in 2002. There's more. Oprah is the co-founder of Oxygen Media, which operates a 24-hour cable television network for women. She also produces Oprah and Friends on XM Satellite. And in January, she plans to launch the Oprah Winfrey Network, OWN, which is, of course, like I said, this article is a little bit old, and that's been already, done and out and on the way. But it's on the Discovery Health Channel.
That's amazing, because she's got an amazing story, because she overcame a lot of disadvantages and a lot of challenges, and it's just a wonderful thing to see someone come from nothing and rise up. And let me ask you, folks out there, the ladies that we covered, how many of them were names you'd never heard of before?
Right.
Quite a few, I imagine. Quite a few. And Donna, we got about 5 minutes left or so, but I just wanted to say what a pleasure it is in working with you. And I know you're drinking that blackberry grapevine wine, grapevine sarsaparilla. Oh my goodness!
I'm feeling sassy.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, and I tell you, it really is a great honor to work with you here at the TV station, and all of you good people out there in TV land. Donna and I realize that our show is a true reflection of our audience. And our audience is a true reflection of us. So we're just everyday people. And on that note, I'd like to say that after the show, come on over Donna's place. The door is open, and we're gonna have supper over at her house, and we'll just have a scrum. We'll just have a scrum-diddly-icious time there.
He's always offering me to cook for the whole dadgum world.
Well, I mean, I can boil water, and I can fry eggs. I can make some bacon.
There you go.
I can even make some Flappy Jacks, but when it comes to all of them dishes that you make, I'm not even on the horizon. I'm so far behind.
Well, you're there with the fork. That's the important part.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the official food taster. Right. I will make sure the food is great for everybody. I'll tell you.
And and Jim says that with a little bit of honesty, because when we were in Texas, out of Houston.
For Marty's event, Marty Haggard, our good friend. Yeah.
So we all stayed at an Airbnb, and we all took turns cooking, and so it was. There was a few of us in the kitchen.
Yeah, I was out. I was kind of supervising from the outside. I did a little bit in the kitchen, not much, because Emerson and Donna and you guys were out of my league. I mean, once they get past peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I'm like Shania Twain, the lyrics of her song, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
I never will forget.
So much fun, though.
Oh, I never will forget. We had salmon and asparagus tips. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I couldn't visualize how delicious they were. But that combo was absolutely 100% delicious.
We didn't go hungry that week, did we?
No. I mean,
Evelyn didn't have to cook for a week.
Yeah, we had a lot of food we had to take back home, because I lived about an hour from there. And Aaron Hymas, the president of E360 TV, came down, and Aaron ate so well. And when they got to the airport, they weighed him and had to charge him extra for the weight. I was teasing him about that one time. They charge you extra for gaining some weight because the food was that good.
Yes,
it
was.
And
good.
We had fun. It was so nice to be invited. It wasn't backstage. It was over where the band, where the private room for and Marty says, come on in. We went in there. We had a wonderful visit with our good friend, Marty Haggard. And Donna, he was on our 4th TV show on this station.
Our first one.
Yeah, our first one that we did together. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And from then on, Donna says, I think he's trainable. If he'll listen to me, he might be a good host.
Marty is a sweetheart, and we have been really blessed to be friends with him and have him in our life. And
his wonderful wife, Tessa. And his wonderful wife, Tessa. Oh, she's a beautiful lady.
She is absolutely the cat's meow is what she is.
Yeah. Just good, simple, down-to-earth, honest, hardworking people. And for us to be associated with them as friends, it's our pleasure, our honor. We're the ones that's blessed. We really are. Well, Donna, I think our time's just about all gone.
It is. We are up and out of time. No more quarters, Jim.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. You folks around the world, thank you so much for making our show popular, because Donna and I realize you could be watching any other show or any other channel or whatever, but you chose to spend some time with us. Thank you so very much for that. We really appreciate that, don't we, Donna?
We do. We do. We thank you with all our hearts.
Mm-hmm. We really do. And we want you to know in closing, be sure and love yourself first, because you have the universal right to be loved. You certainly do. And you can love yourself, and no one can stop you. And you have the prerogative and the opportunity to love others, even if you love them enough to let them go, because sometimes it takes love, tough love, and in that capacity. And we got a little bit of background noise there. I don't know what it might be, but anyway. But be sure and love yourself. And as Donna likes to say, love yourself enough to give yourself.
Plenty of grace, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all make mistakes. And sometimes, believe it or not, this may come as a shock to Donna, but sometimes I say things without thinking.
Sometimes he does. It makes me snort.
Yep. But most importantly, when you make a mistake, own it. Don't let it define you. Just say, "Hey, I was wrong."
Move on.
Yeah, move on. And in closing, Donna and I, we really hope that you and your loved ones, your family, is blessed in all areas of your life. We hope you have an abundance of love and hope you have an abundance of great health. We'll see you on Monday with our friend, Mr. Rennie Gabriel.
Yep.
And how
have a great weekend, folks.
Yeah, you bet. We're going to see how that apartment building can qualify for credit. I might have an apartment building buy me a car.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
I need one too.
Yeah, we'll see you then.